Good morning and welcome to the Electric Committee meeting for August 10th, 2023. Present today, Council President Austin Clunt, Councilman Ron Sprinkle, Councilman Jeremy Clay, Public Works Director Troy Kruger, and Electric Superintendent Kurt Hawkinson. Go ahead, guys.
So I printed out an email that Chandra sent out yesterday with the personnel changes, and the CPI was back down to 6.75 and not the 7.5, and mayor and council removed their wages, finance office removed their staff, additional staff, but added a deputy wage increase, and the Boy Scouts are gonna ask for a $1,500 donation. Total wage changes, total difference of $151,074.38. So we're still a ways off. $1.456 million to be exact. Did we take out the step increases for Public Works?
So there were no increases in electric for CDL, because they
Yeah.
get that in their schooling, so there was nothing there. So electric wages had no additional increases other than if they passed their 6 months, and that was discussed between you and Rhonda as to where the employees would be at that time, so.
But did we take it out for the other
No,
Public
we'll
Works
talk
department?
about those during those committees.
So it's still in there? Okay.
We have talked about the transfer fund that we're putting in your budget line. We're not gonna be able to do that. We got too far to go. You know, we can't encumber those dollars in the budget. You know, we're talking about, okay, it's just gonna be a process instead of you having the money in your budget, and if it comes about, you can jump on it. Our budget just doesn't allow us to do that. So if you find transformers, we still know you need transformers, but we'll look at doing a supplemental budget ordinance, or is that correct, Chandra, at that time? And it's just gonna take a little bit longer, but don't think we're gonna anyway come close to getting our budget balanced without removing those out of the budget line.
And they're technically still there, just not gonna be.
In the budget, or in our checkbook,
Right, they're just in cash.
yeah.
And did all of you get the email with where cash is estimated to be at the end of the year?
I see you sent it out, but I haven't looked at it, I'm sorry.
So the electric department kind of used in their expenses and revenues total for this year, if everything goes according to plan, are pretty well even. So you'll start the year, you'll start 2024 with pretty much the same as what you started 2023, and it's over $1 million. That does not include the reserve. So the reserve is separate and apart. It's a reserve. It does not include it as cash on hand for you.
And we still have an electrical reserve fund of $1 million too that you're not talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you bring that deal for your truck?
Yep.
Guess we could start out with that. We're on the list to get a new big bucket truck, and back when we called them, they said we were a couple years out at least. And then they called up and said, one of the co-ops ordered one and now they don't want it. So it is available.
There is one available Q1 of next year. I think it's February of next year. It's price $251,700 is what he had on it. It's one that it would replace our big bucket truck that we have right now. I know we talked about it previously. It's over 20 years old. On there, it's needing work to be done with it right now. When we use it, it'll just cut out, shut off on us, stuff like that, even when we're in the air and everything. So, it's probably the last, depending on how far we can get buried in the town, it's probably the last time that the city would have to replace it. I'd suggest that you keep this one forever, that way, the one we got now probably isn't gonna last, you know, the length of what we would need it for. This one would, as we continue to bury it, you'd need this truck to basically just fix the streetlights out on the 2 lanes, cause our other one can't reach it. So then you can keep, you know, a real old truck around just to do those, you know, when you had to do it. But the stuff that we're doing now, the old one is gonna fail us at some point on there, so.
The thing with their trucks is, I think it's every 2 years they have to get them inspected. And
Every year,
Every year.
they're doing it right
Um,
today, actually.
It's getting close to where, just because of parts and stuff like that, it's 20 years old. They're probably not gonna pass it one of these years. And then we're gonna have a truck that they can't use. So,
Obsolete.
hmm?
Obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah, those bucket trucks are a goofy deal, like, they're very expensive, but, there's very low hours on that vehicle. They've used it way more in the last 2 years, or Kurt's used it way more in the last year than it's ever gotten used before, but it's not worth anything, like, we'd be lucky to get $20,000 for it,
20 to 50, I mean,
just the way it is, but.
And you surplus that or keep it? You wouldn't have no use for it if you had a new one.
no, my only thought was the parks department, you know, to trim trees or something like that, but that wouldn't, I guess I wouldn't care either way as far as keeping it or surplusing it if we got rid of it.
We have a really old bucket down at the north shop, and
Digger. Got an old
digger, yeah, it's a digger
Yeah.
truck, but we use that thing all the time, set poles for the ball diamonds, but it's leaking hydraulic fluid all over the place, it's ready to be retired. So it would be nice to have another one, just for that purpose, but we use it quite a bit.
When you say that truck inspection, I see in 2024, there's nothing budgeted for it.
I thought we had it in there. It would be another $5,000 on there. The rental thing would be something that we could get rid of or move that there. Another, I think we're kind of,
You're saying you wanna take 5,000 out of rental?
yeah, gone there.
Where's that one
Right above it.
Right
It's
above
at,
it, yeah.
42.
That's-
40.
I thought we got it put in, I guess we have 2,500 in there, am I looking at that right? I don't have my glasses either, no. That's where it'd have to go, I can't remember what the exact number it is, it's about 4,000, I think, that it actually gets spent out of there.
For the inspection.
Yeah,
So we can take the rental out and move that down to the
Yeah.
truck inspection.
yep. Another thing that could take $10,000 out of our tools. I was planning on buying a CT tester next year, but that can wait. It's something that I'm gonna bring up to you guys. I was talking to a salesman yesterday about it. You can actually hire companies to come in and test CTs. So this would be with our metering. And this is where the council likes it, because we're gonna find things that are wrong, so we're not metering possibly a business correctly, and it would be in the favor of the city. Like a CT might have failed or something like that. But I'd like to look into that, probably not next year, but the year after or something like that. We had over.
Do you wanna put a little something in for a vehicle repair in case something happens?
We should have moved that. So I had 2 of them in this year's budget, Austin. And we actually moved that money up to repairs and maintenance. I had vehicle repairs in my budget this year, and I had, repairs and maintenance. So I think I ended up taking less and just moving it all and putting it in one, because I'm not
Yeah.
using it type of a thing.
That's what you did. You had 14 in repairs and maintenance, and you had 10 in vehicle repairs, and you
Yeah.
combined them into one at 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm planning on, I haven't spent much, because I'm waiting, because we do have a lot of inventory, but I'm gonna replace it all starting in September on some of it, buying wire for next year and stuff like that as far as I can get. I think I've spent, I have it now, but there's gonna be a few things, probably about $15,000 as of right now that won't come in till next year.
Is this supplies?
Yeah, just supplies and stuff because of kind of the supply chain issue. The overhead, we can take that out. We'll spend that out of our regular supplies as far as if I gotta,
Where am I at? Am I
you're,
going down?
you're gonna go down, it's in between the Plum Street thing and equipment,
Okay.
right down
So
there.
take that 20,000 out.
Yeah. Then we can go to the next line down.
Okay.
You're probably not gonna let me get my trailer, are you?
I'm sorry. We can't.
You're not sorry, you know why to me too, on top of that.
Did you see this number where it says 1.4 million?
Yeah, how many other departments do we got? Start cutting theirs.
Don't worry.
I already told those guys, I said, it doesn't come out of mine, it comes out of
Yeah.
yours, so. That would be, we can cut that,
That's the 50,000?
yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
right there.
You've already removed $500,000 from your budget this morning.
what did you?
And, well,
what-
that's
What did you
transfer,
do? Did you remove overhead and equipment?
yeah, I wanted a trailer
Oh, okay.
on there, a real trailer. I'm never gonna stop asking for that, just giving you guys a heads up, because it is
Sure thing. Come back next year.
beneficial to us.
This is just the first go around. We're gonna find all this money, and then we're gonna have all this money, and then you can ask the second time.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what do you have left to buy for Plum Street to do that?
I have all the stuff, but I'm gonna replace it out of it. I can look it up, so the wire, I'm probably gonna end up $20,000 worth of wire to replace it. Pipe, I'm probably pretty close to another 20 onto that. The boxes are tough to say, probably, 5 to 10 right there. So this would be all a replacement for my inventory that we took out of inventory to do it.
You'd be replacing what you're using.
Yeah, that's
Using for
kind of where we're at on it. But so, yeah, I haven't spent any very much, but I'm planning on doing it kind of September, going out, getting quotes, getting the stuff for October, replacing it. That way we have it for next year.
The
I
wire,
think-
wire in the pipe, is that like, can we get our hands on that before the end of the year?
Yep, I can get wire. I got it. It's $7,000 a reel. I think we'll end up buying about 6.
So you have 75,000 at Plum Street in 2023.
Yeah, we'll probably end up using a majority of that.
So the 75,000 for 2024 Plum Street, should those numbers be in supplies then?
I think that would kind of be like, we never changed kind of what we called each GL code. That was one thing. It'd have to be kind of like in capital outlay underground of some sort. I don't know what.
You just, it's not gonna be Plum Street.
It's not
next
gonna
year,
be
it'll
Plum Street, but
different
it's gonna be
underground.
It'll
some.
be renamed.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was,
Yeah.
it was a capital improvement.
yeah, that's what
It was a
in.
capital improvement.
And
'cause
that's
it was,
what we
it
were.
was one big project, but
Yep.
since he's using his supplies to do it, probably should be moved over to supplies now.
Are we gonna move it or are we gonna change the name?
I'd rather see it change because it is going into it is for a project, I guess. And it's stuff that we had on hand, but we're gonna replace it from on hand. Can we do that? Okay, that's where I would go with it. The supplies that we use, I guess, like fuses, stuff like that. Is kind of where I go with the supplies, but if we're doing like an underground project, that way I can see how much we spent as far as kind of underground that year, instead of just having one big bulk supplies. That's the way it was 2 years before I got here, and I didn't know
Well,
where the heck we're spending our money at.
I think your transformers actually, we found out a couple years ago because they have a
Serial number.
serial number and everything, they actually fall under equipment. Because they're just like a pickup or something like that, because they actually have a serial number, almost like a VIN number on them, so they technically fall under equipment. But your wire and your pipe and all that other stuff, cutouts, fuses, all that other stuff falls under supplies.
Yeah, and we'll end up having to do that Elevate 2 this year, obviously. And that'll be a chunk there. I mean, it's gonna be at least $15,000, probably more than that, closer to 20, just in wire and pipe to get it through, so. And I got enough, when I last ordered pipe and everything like that, I ordered enough for that too, so.
So Chandra, you said 500,000, but I scribbled off, what was the number on transformers? Is that 250?
Transformers was 250, and then you also had a contingency /
Oh,
outlay.
that's
for
down
more
below.
transformers for 197.
Yeah. both of
we-
those.
And where are they at?
Clear down the bottom. What are you saying, CJ?
Can we leave like $25,000 in there? 'Cause sometimes I can get a call for like a single phase one, smaller one, and they're below the,
In the contingency?
well,
The transformers.
instead of, because if we took it all out of there, I'd have to come to you every time I bought one, right? Is that, am I understanding that correct? If we left 25 in there, sometimes the salesman will get they're getting bulk orders, and a company might say, well, I don't want 2 of them because of this, and I'll get a phone call, and they're smaller ones, but we can use them on the residential stuff, and they're less than $4,000, that way I can make that call.
I think we could do that. We've hit your budget pretty hard.
You wanna change that 250 to 225?
No, just 25,000, just so I
Yeah,
have,
you take 20.
yeah, just so I
Leave
have that,
25,000.
that ability to say, yes, I'll take it right then and there.
I think we can do that, CJ.
Okay.
If a big one becomes available, you can go to council and ask them to,
Yeah.
to use your cash on hand, or they can,
Yeah,
with their mighty wand, they can grant you some money, and yes,
But-
here's your money.
some of it's that phone call, and then once I hang up, it's gone type of a deal, so,
All right, we'll leave 25,000 there. Leave you a little bit of wiggle.
okay.
So this truck,
This truck.
what was the number you said, the cost? 251,700,
Yep.
is that what you said?
Yep, right there.
Okay. And you have that in your budget for 41,000, is that
Well, so right now,
bucket truck lease, 20
Yep.
new?
so with those leases, Chandler can correct me, I did find it on my email too. We pay that number, and then we have to buy it out at fair market value at the end of it.
This one's like a normal lease, instead of a $1 buyout, it's like leasing a pickup.
Yep.
You can either let it go back, or you can buy it out at the market. But when you lease a vehicle, that number's set the day you buy it.
Yep.
Not on this.
These aren't set.
We don't have any $1 buyouts on any of our leases, except our scanning machine.
Oh, I thought we had a
All of
vehicle
our
that had
equipment
it.
is either fair market value or a set price.
I thought we had it on a piece of equipment.
Not that I have.
The John Deere Skidster.
So that's,
Kurt
it says
Skidster? I think that's a
36,000.
That's a
You have
sort.
36,318.24 buyout on it, according to the lease paperwork.
on there. So if you crunch the numbers, what we're paying on that small bucket, it's gonna be pretty close to double if we bought it back out on there. From what, if I go online and find one, yeah. So that's kind of your guys' decision, number one, if I let you.
So what's the 41,000 then?
That was a projected, he hasn't got back to me as far as the
A
lease.
payment?
Yes, a yearly payment
For
for that big bucket.
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years on there. He hasn't got back to me with the exact numbers, we just plugged it in for a rough guesstimate.
That's Sourcewell, right?
I don't know
No.
if that is or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, this falls under a need, I think.
Say that again?
I said unfortunately, I think this falls under the category as a need.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure everyone heard that.
And I started off by saying unfortunately.
Well, he's only spent 55.25% of his budget this year, so he's way behind schedule.
No, I'm more of a saver. We buy what we need. Keep some of this on hand. Some of the things I want, I can't get is the problem. Like stupid little things.
So on
too.
that truck, when do you have to let him know?
Probably as soon as possible.
And then would we get it? It's like ready to go, we get it now, or we get it
February.
in 2024?
2024, he told me February of 2024.
So we can't guarantee anything to anyone until budget's approved with
Okay.
that number in there. And then at that point in time, we would have to make sure it's Sourcewell, and then council would have to approve. If they did a lease, they'd have to approve the lease in full council as well.
But we probably don't wanna do a lease, you're saying,
I would
because of
say
purchase
that,
price.
I
Yeah.
would say not to do it because like I said, this is,
Market value on it's gonna be pretty high.
yeah.
So you wanna pay for it outright then, Jeremy?
5 years, 41,000 is estimated payment.
Plus then use the buyout at
No,
fair market value.
no, that's the lease,
This
there's a
isn't
buyout, a
this isn't a
purchase.
payment plan, that's a lease or buyout.
There's the 41,000, the purchase price?
No.
That's a lease.
That's
That's
a
the
lease
lease
payment,
payment.
okay, that's what I was wanting. See, I was thinking, wasn't running the math, okay, 41,000 times 5 is
Cash up front
200,000.
or
That's where you run into the problem when you gotta pay the fair market value because you're already basically paying that
Right.
number and then you're gonna.
I thought the
damn-
41,000 was a purchase
No.
payment price.
No. They do offer you can do a payment plan, but Chandra said that counts against our debt. But
What's that crunch, an
As in-
estimated payment?
So it'd be
If we buy
it'd be a
it.
loan, is essentially what it would be, and it would count against our constitutional debt. Granted, the loan's not a huge amount, 251,700 plus interest, so, I'm not sure what the interest would be on it, those are the numbers that we need to get.
Did you say 251,000?
What?
Did you say 251,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, 251.7.
Put it in at 7%, that's gotta be close. Maybe it's more, but.
Two 268, 570, and you could go 5 or 7.
I think it's a 5-year. It's
Be about-
max, right?
No,
50.
they had the little bucket, they can do that in a 7-year too, 72-month one, or a 6-year.
54,000 a year.
Yeah, and it's paid for in 5 years versus a buyout at fair market. The lease deal's not super good.
That,
I know it's contradicting the mayor's wanting to get her constitutional debt a long ways down, but this seems like better business to purchase it than lease it. I think we should build that, an estimated payment into the budget for a purchase of the bucket truck,
For 54.
if you think that would be close to.
53,863,8, again, don't know what any closing costs.
It should be close.
Yeah, 54 I think would be a good price.
So,
You'll have that information.
I'm not gonna be on the council forever, but that may hinder your real trailer.
okay.
You'd rather have a bucket truck than.
I think, yeah, just the way it's going, I mean, yeah, we can make do with what we got on there. This bucket truck, I mean, we use it a lot to hold the hot wires up while we're setting poles, and it is cutting out on us and it'll die. There's been a few times we've had to get it restarted and everything like that. Our last safety meeting we did get taught how to repel out of there again, so we can get out of it. But, and like I said, I think that this could be the last big bucket that the town buys too, because we won't have the overhead, so we won't have that risk of working, hot wires at that point, just doing streetlights.
So what you're getting at there saying is, as we're going underground more and more and more, there's gonna be less and less need for it. So
Yeah.
this one should last us
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, and if we were at the point I'd like to be, 10 years or something like that, I would say like the bucket truck we have, yep, but we gotta go spend $50,000-$60,000 in a new transmission, and I think some of the injectors are going out on or something like that. We need to just get it back up to speed so it'll run type of a deal, and just pay a mechanic to fix it. That's where I would be at on it.
Ron, what's your opinion?
It's getting age on it.
Yeah.
Anything can go.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's a manual too on it, I guess, so
This one an automatic?
this one's an automatic on there, so
Wouldn't take long to spend 54,000 on it.
I wouldn't think so. I've had a diesel pickup, so I've paid those bills before. It's not as fun, I guess, without warranty on there, so.
Okay.
But
Where else can we cut $54,000 real quick now, huh?
54, yeah.
Total, adding in what he's added in and taking out what he's taken out, as of today, he's cut $489,000 out of his budget.
Is that counting the,
That is a chunk, man.
So what that does is it takes your tools down to 10,000.
Yeah.
It removes your 20,000. It removes your 50,000 for equipment. It removes 250,000, but adds in 25,000 for transformers, and it changes the bucket truck lease, the 2020 or loan, the new one, to 54,000 versus 41,000, and it removed the contingency outlay of 197,000. And as of my cash on hand estimate, granted, these are estimates, it's based off of numbers I have in front of me right now. They'll start the year at 1.5, almost 1.6 million in cash on hand. So
Starting
they'll be
2020.
able to get transformers if needed. It just takes longer, that's the only issue.
Isn't the contingency outlay for those transformers, wasn't that what that was
We-
put in there for?
whacking that too? Yeah.
It is, so it would be just a simple council motion at that time to do it that way, if that's what you would prefer to do, or they can just come in and ask for cash on hand. How that works would be, he'd come in, he'd ask for cash on hand, he'd have the quotes in front of him as to what it cost, and then you would motion, same as the general fund contingency, you'd motion to transfer it into that specific line. Versus if you just take it out of cash, then it is a supplemental budget. All supplemental budgets are referable by the public, so it has first reading, second reading, 20 days publication. The likelihood of someone coming, and I know I say this a lot, the likelihood of somebody coming in and saying, yeah, no, we shouldn't buy transformers because we don't want power, pretty slim to none, but it is always an option. At that time, when you guys do your first, second reading, it'd be very similar to the Mini X that we just purchased for sanitation. Same process, then council motions, because it's not in his budget, you would motion to buy it, and then if that ordinance gets deferred, then you guys have to kind of figure out where you're gonna come up with that money and how you're going to fix it, but it's all possible.
So, when they call and say you can get transformers, you can commit to it, they can be paid a month, 45 days later?
So right now, the ones I'm talking about are onesie twosies type of a deal. Those ones, not so much. What I would have to do is go out to bid on them, and I think I can still do that, not having the money in hand, but we're talking 3 years out probably.
Yeah.
I talked to a salesman yesterday, he's thinking 5, he's hearing some 5s out there. So, yeah, and then they might say, well, we got one that came in type of a deal. We wouldn't pay for it till upon we received it, so I would have the price, you know, for it and everything like that, so. And it's.
So what we're talking about works for you, you're saying?
Yeah,
That's why I just want,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
if we're sitting there 3 years out and they say,
We
hey, we
can't.
got some. You say, well, we don't have 45 days for a.
Yeah, that's
and
the,
then you mention-
the $25,000 is, it'll cover, all kind of the smaller ones. Like if I do get a phone call, that's why I wanted it, it'll cover it, that we'll have the money there to pay for it. It'll probably cover like one 3-phase transformer if they called and they had it, or if I needed to go get a quote, get one bought. Those ones are kind of a year, they're saying roughly out, but they might come in sooner. It'll cover a majority of them, not the really big ones, but for what we have in town, a majority of those 3-phase. So it'll cover that, you know, kind of one. January 1, give it the bid back to Chandra, have her do that thing, and then we'll get into slots at that point. I want to talk to some people and kind of figure out what's best for us as far as how many we can get and all that type of thing, and kind of have a little bit narrow down of what we actually kind of need and get on that track a little bit more on it. And then it's one of those things, yeah, it's tough to budget for because you budget for the full amount and you might get 3 of them that year. They just kind of filter in is what they're kind of talking about too. You're not getting a bulk order and everything, so it is really tough to budget for. But if we are able to, you know, be able to get to that contingent thing, will probably be the best thing for it, so.
That would actually be the same situation as if we wanted to take out the $5,000 for unused compensated absences. You could ask for that cash if one of your employees retired, you wouldn't have to budget for it.
I don't think we gotta worry about any of us retiring.
But you got 5,000 budgeted for it.
Yeah, we could take, I never really looked at that stuff,
Yeah.
but,
We could remove that 5,000. There, I think almost every department has money budgeted for retirement that they can ask for contingency money.
So it wouldn't be contingency, it'd be
Oh, well,
cash, but
cash.
yeah. Unless it's general fund and then you could. So out of his, there would be 1.1 1/5 employees that would even qualify for retirement at this point in time, so, or leaving. It's not just retirement, but.
do I qualify for retirement yet?
Have you been here 3 years? No, it'd be
Well,
5 years.
I'm invested because I did come from another city, right?
Oh.
So I still can, right?
Well, for us, it's 5 years.
No.
Sorry.
So did you did that math, you actually only added 13,000 instead of 54,000?
Correct.
So what's our total after we remove another 5,000?
489 or?
489 plus 5, so 494. Better find 6,000 more, Kurt, just to make it an even $500,000.
Million.
So
I'm
that
kidding.
is a bunch of money out of your budget, and we appreciate your willingness to work with us. That's a true and fair statement. The bad news is, Mr. Public Works Director, we're still $1 million short.
Yeah, but look how far we came in one meeting.
Okay.
Councilman Clay.
Just have your other Public Works people be willing, as Mr. Hawkinson has.
The other public works people don't have near the budget that he has either.
Majority of my budget is
So-
buying power.
In fact, all of them put together probably don't have as much budget as he has.
Can't find my notes.
So total now, total budget, is $949,185 short.
One
So
more
you're
time.
less than $1 million.
Just out of curiosity.
$949,185.
We should be able to nail that down, right? That our Landis and Gear,
I would think so. Yeah,
That-
do you want me to pull that up?
yeah. That would be one thing we could have an exact number on. It would be the hosting of our meter programs, as far as they host all the data and stuff. We got 34 in there. We should be able to nail that number down to an exact thing, because it's a yearly subscription.
Okay.
And I guess I've never heard what it was or anything like that.
I'd have to look it up. I don't have
Yeah,
it.
it's a 5-year number.
It's a 5-year.
Yeah, starting last year, or starting this year, 2024.
Okay.
I'll
Could
look
get
it up.
worse too, I guess.
Out of curiosity, you were saying what, Troy?
How many departments have we started cutting out of? How many?
This is the third day.
This is the third day.
So finance, admin building, police, 911, fire, electric. I mean, you've cut over 600,000 in 4 days. So,
Keep cutting.
not sure what that's gonna say for the next 5 days of meetings, but
Tomorrow's gonna be Parks and Cemetery, and, I mean, the total budgets of those two departments are less than $400,000.
I need you to come see me after this meeting. I
What?
heard back from Randy again on that grant. So just come see me after the
Oh.
meeting.
Okay.
But next week we have water and sewer. We have a couple of big departments, streets, big one.
We've been talking about that bucket truck for a few years now. It's not like it's anything new that we didn't know that it's coming.
I'd like to see one of them get sold, surplus, get what you can get out of it. We haven't seen any need for 3 of them.
Which
Go
one
off
would you?
like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Get rid of the old older one and keep.
Well, what he's talking
Even I would
about.
be
Get
able
on
to
your
do that.
desk.
Even I would be able to do
Things,
that.
I mean, that one that we got, that we're replacing, that'd probably be the best one to get rid of.
Because of dollars and cents
Yeah, it's
or
newer.
usefulness for the city.
Yeah, it's newer and everything like that. And you'd probably get more out of it. And for what Troy was talking about using for this thing, couldn't be used for that. I mean, it would, basically the only thing that would benefit the city, other than us having a backup, would be, yeah, parks can take it and go trim their own trees, but we can make time to do that too. I mean, that's kind of the only other thing with it.
There are times too, like, it's happened quite a bit, that other bucket truck. Like, a lot of times if we have a storm or something, and we have a pole that we can't fix that night, or we can't get, we'll leave,
Brace it
we'll
with
leave
that.
that piece of equipment attached to that pole.
We won't leave that truck
Yeah.
on there, but
That, like now we use the skid steer or whatever, and that's a much better option though for holding up, something that's not.
Okay. Austin was just saying that he'd like to see a surplus one of the older bucket trucks. If we get you a new one, surplus one of the older ones.
Oh, the one that we have down at the shop is,
Anything, I mean, we just so many times buy more equipment and we don't get rid of anything.
Which one would you prefer, the surplus, the older one down at the shop? Because Kurt was saying maybe
the
it'd be
older one
better.
down the shop is a digger.
yeah, it's a digger, and it's
It's like
just,
a lift truck, like a crane almost, you'd call
oh,
it.
we use it, we use it for odds. Yeah, we could, if we have that bucket, then we don't need that one anymore. I mean, the reason we haven't surplused it is because we won't get anything for it. I mean, we'll get like a couple $1,000s for it probably. Somebody will rip the digger off it and put a box on it or something. I don't know, make it for,
How far it reach?
Set trusses with it.
So you're saying
the oldest one would go.
The digger.
that's contrary to what you were saying.
Well, I guess, yeah. It depends on what you're gonna use it for. I mean, that bucket truck won't lift them poles like, Marty, if he, using it for that. Obviously, the digger that we have at our shop can. We have a piece of equipment that can do it too, but, and he
It
might,
just,
he
it
might
just
get-
has a lot of issues right now. It's got
Yeah.
it's got like 3 or 4
And that's
hydraulic
fine,
leaks, and
and-
it's just something you don't want to put money into because it's not
Yeah.
worth anything.
It doesn't matter to me with it too. So.
What year's your current bucket truck?
The one that we're replacing, it's a 2003.
So you get about 20 years out of it.
Yeah.
At that rate of
Yeah.
use.
Yeah. A lot of places kind of replace them 10, 12 years, but it also depends on, you know, overhead use and what they're actually having for, I guess, too, you know. With it, like our small bucket, kind of depends with that fair market value thing. Kind of, it would probably at that point, after that 5 years, maybe have to, but I don't want to say buy that one outright, but get a new one for that small one, because that one will be used quite a bit. And I would like to see that kind of, if we don't have any issues with it, obviously, but kind of on a 10-year rotation type of thing as far as equipment, stuff like that. The only real piece of equipment that possibly like kind of a lower than 10 years, depending on how everybody else looks at it, would be our boring machine. Those kind of, you start to sink a lot of money into them after that 5 years, stuff like that, because there's just so many moving parts. They're dirty, you know, with all the mud, stuff like that, and grease and everything that comes out of them. And that would be about the only piece of equipment that I would say that couldn't last longer than 5 years at that point. And you can get them longer than that on there. I know up there in Brookings, they're on a 10-year rotation on with their drills and stuff like that, and they're able to do it. But you do end up sinking a lot of money back into them, and that's where you'd have to crunch it if it's worth it or not. But like that mini stuff like that, we do use that a lot, but I mean, them things, they last, you know, too. So stuff like that, I do like new equipment, but as far as this goes, I would, yeah, if we had to hold on to that, you know, 10, 15 years, something like that, it wouldn't burst my bubble, I guess. I'm saying, like our potholer stuff, those things, there's not a whole lot to them besides the motor and everything, and they last quite a while too. The one thing that they have to worry about those is the tanks rusting out because it's sucking mud all the time, but so.
Okay.
Anything else you want? Kidney, liver?
Not a fun job. Budgeting is not a fun job. It's painful.